Hello, I'm Andy Laws, founder of Astronomy Adventures, the original urban spaceman. In this month's night sky videocast, you will discover what you can see in the July night sky. Let's hope we have more beautiful clear nights like last month. I have all the latest information to keep you up to date with what's happening. With the summer solstice now gone, the night starts to get longer, and the moonless spell later in July brings us our first dark skies of the summer. The chart shows the plough in the northwest as the summer triangle reaches the high meridian. Formed by the bright stars Vega, Altair, and Deneb, prominent in our galactic centre, in the constellation of Sagittarius, gives us some beautiful sights of nebula and open clusters. If you have a pair of binoculars, just scan the Milky Way. Not only will you see lanes of stars and dust clouds, but low on the southern horizon the constellations of Scorpio and Sagittarius. Then moving north, Ophiuchus, Aquila, Hercules, then two small constellations of Lyra and Vulpecula. Both these contain planetary nebula, which I'll be talking about later. Moving further north in the Milky Way, we have Cygnus the Swan, and further still we reach the double star in the constellation of Cassiopeia, a queen and mother of Andromeda. Then moving on to the planets, we have a rare chance of seeing 7 planets in the morning sky. Wow! Along with the moon, a comet, and Ceres, a minor planet. Fantastic. Here we have this month's calendar of the moon phases. The next full moon is on the 5th, and is another penumbra eclipse. That's 2 in a row. The full moon is this month called the Thunder Moon or Buck Moon. Later in the videocast I will show you some more close encounters with the moon and other celestial objects. As I mentioned, lots of events going on with the moon this month, and to start with, on the 5th of July we have a full moon which is called the Thunder Moon or Buck Moon. This is because during July we tend to have lots of storms, and during this month deer tend to rut. But not only that, we have another penumbral eclipse of the moon. That's when the moon passes through the secondary shadow of the earth. It will only cover half of the moon and may not be noticeable at all. That's 2 in succession. On July 8th the moon occults Epsilon Capricornus. An occultation is when an object goes in front of a star or other celestial object. As you can see, the moon starts to cover Epsilon Capricornus just after midnight at approximately 17 minutes past 12, and reappears an hour and 20 minutes later at 1:37. These timings are from Bexhill in East Sussex, so do start looking a bit before, as these times can vary according to your location. You may remember from last month that on the morning of the 19th of June, Venus should have been occulted by the moon in daylight. Unfortunately, true to form with many observations of rare occurrences, we here in the UK were clouded out. But Kelly Beattie from the States was able to get this wonderful shot at 4 a.m. in the morning. The 4th of July sees the Earth at aphelion, which is the furthest point the Earth reaches from the Sun. That's 94.5 million miles, some 3.1 million miles further away than in the winter months when it reaches perihelion, the closest point to the Sun. In my last video I explained that we had not seen much activity on the Sun's surface, but as luck would have it, in the second week of June we saw a fair-sized sunspot traverse across the face of the Sun. They are caused by strong magnetic activity within the Sun itself. Sunspots are not a permanent feature, and they can move slowly across the surface of the Sun, changing size as they move. They are not really dark either. They are a couple of thousand of degrees cooler than the surrounding area, which makes them appear dark. Let's hope we have some more visible active regions very soon. Over the last 6 months we have been promised a couple of bright naked-eye comets, Comet Atlas and Comet Swan. Astronomers were very excited, but they did not survive their journey through our solar system. A relatively new comet, Comet C 2020 F3 Neowise, has survived its journey around the Sun and should grace our morning skies from the second week of July. Keep watching Astronomy Adventures Facebook pages for the latest updates. Let's turn our attention to the solar system objects. This month 7 planets can be seen in the early morning skies and in one observing session. Mercury starts climbing in the eastern skies until it reaches its greatest elongation on July 22nd, at which time Mercury will be 20 degrees west of the Sun. After that date, Mercury will slowly slink back down towards the Sun. Mercury and Venus are currently in the morning skies. If you're lucky enough to own a telescope and can find Venus or Mercury, they show phases just like the Moon. Have a look with a small telescope. You will see the crescent of Mercury or Venus. Venus reaches its brightest point on July the 8th, shining with magnitude -4.5. Here's a picture of Mars at the beginning of April. You can see the ice cap and many dark areas on the planet. Mars has been known for well over 4,000 years, but Galileo was the first person to view Mars through a telescope, and is named after the Roman god of war due to its red appearance. Mars can be seen towards the southeast. Its magnitude is currently -0.5, and it will become bigger and brighter throughout the year. By September it will be shining magnificently at -2.5. Amateur telescopes should be able to see Syrtis Major or its ice caps, but conditions will improve over the coming year as it gets closer to us. Let's stick with Mars, as it has fascinated us so much. It has had stories written about it and probes sent to it. On the 18th, compare the red star Aldebaran in Taurus with Mars, as they are very close together. Many ancients called these two stars the twins. If you view Aldebaran and Mars together, you may spot that the star twinkles and Mars does not. It's a well-known fact that planets do not twinkle like stars. It's easy to forget that life was believed to be on Mars some 60 years ago. Before the Mariner flybys in the 60s, scientists thought Mars had water and some kind of life, even if it was just like plant life or lichen. Going back to 1938, Orson Welles dramatised the story of the War of the Worlds and broadcast it on radio as if it were actually happening. It was reported to have caused panic, and people really thought that they were being invaded by Martians. We know that life does not exist on Mars, but have Martian rovers driving around and experimenting to see if some kind of life existed at some stage of Mars's life. Mars could have human visitors venturing to this rusty place within the next 10 to 15 years. As the moon moves east, on July the 14th, the crescent moon lies between Venus and Mars, and is also close to Uranus. This is an ideal photo opportunity. We're now moving on to the gas giant Jupiter. Jupiter was first seen through a small telescope by Galileo in 1610. He also discovered the 4 Galilean moons. Jupiter has a large storm which has been visible since Galileo discovered the planet, and has probably been there for centuries or millennia even. Jupiter has 4 moons named after Galileo, who discovered them: Io, Callisto, Ganymede and Europa. These can be seen with 10 by 50 binoculars if held on a tripod, or they can be seen with a small telescope. A 6-inch or larger telescope will show the great red spot, which can be the size of at least 3 Earths. Also, through a telescope you will be able to see Jupiter's subtle bands of the equatorial belts. During July, Jupiter is becoming bigger and brighter. This month there are 10 or so Galilean moon transits and shadow transits. A moderate to large telescope will help in the viewing of this phenomenon. From time to time, the small, round, black shadows cast by Jupiter's 4 Galilean moons can be seen as they cross or transit the planet's disk for several hours. Here is a table of the Galilean moon transits and shadow transits. Note that some of the moons set before transit has finished, and some rise already in transit. Saturn, the second largest planet in our solar system, was also discovered by Galileo. At that time he did not understand the bulges that he could see were Saturn's ring system. During the month of July, Saturn becomes bigger and brighter. Its rings span some 37 arcseconds across and are tilted at 27 degrees. It currently lies in the constellation of Sagittarius, and on the 20th it reaches opposition. Having a low elevation, it will somewhat limit our views of the most beautiful planet. but if you get the opportunity to show friends through a telescope or view it yourself, it definitely has the wow factor. Look for the brightest moon Titan, easily visible in a medium-sized telescope. On the 6th of July, the moon forms a triangle with Saturn and Jupiter, which is a really good photo opportunity. The moon is under 2.5 degrees from Saturn. Uranus and Neptune are both early morning planets. Currently, Neptune just above Mars, being in conjunction around the 15th of June. If you observe Neptune through a telescope, look for the subtle blue colour and also its largest moon, Triton. So looking southeast in the early morning from the west to east, we have Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Mars, the Moon, Uranus, Venus and Mercury. So 7 planets in one sky, something that's a rare occurrence, so do try and get a look. Now I want to show you something a little bit different. It's called the Ring Nebula, also known as M57, Messier 57. It's a planetary nebula in the northern constellation of Lyra. It was formed when a shell of ionized gas was expelled into the surrounding interstellar medium by a star in the last stages of its evolution before becoming a white dwarf. Also M56, a globular cluster. Its distance is 32.9 light years. And then also another planetary nebula called M27 or the Dumbbell Nebula, each beautiful in its own way. M57 or the Ring Nebula is another fantastic nebula to look at. It appears like a smoke ring in between the lower 2 stars of Lyra. Large binoculars will show this feature, but a telescope shows it in its full glory. Surprisingly enough, M57 takes magnification well. Then, coming on to M27, the Dumbbell Nebula in Vulpecula. It's another planetary nebula, but looks more like an apple core. This can be seen from dark skies in 30mm binoculars. We have 2 minor meteor showers this month. The first, the Delta Aquariids, and the second, the Alpha Capricornids. Both peak on the 30th of July. Although not great showers, they are worth having a look at in the early morning. Last month we saw Mark Jarvis's video of the ISS going across the Sun. Well, this month here's another picture by Thierry Legault. He's captured such a fantastic image that I thought I should show you. Here you can see the Dragon cruise ship attached to the ISS and the robotic arm, which has never been captured before. So what a fantastic image that is. Last month I told you about noctilucent clouds or night shining clouds. These are tenuous cloud-like phenomena in the upper atmosphere. They consist of ice crystals and are only visible during astronomical twilight. Noctilucent roughly means night shining in Latin. Do go and have a look, as last few days we've had some good displays. Further news of Astronomy Adventures near space balloon launch. Unfortunately, due to bad weather last month, we had to postpone our launch. The predictions were that the balloon would end up in the North Sea. We're still going ahead and have new dates from the CAA of the 25th of July to the 2nd of August. We're also supporting a local charity which is called Jack Jeffrey Superhero Trust. If you'd like to support this trust, please make a donation. One lucky person who donates will get to launch the balloon, and we will recover it and see the wonderful photographs of the Earth's curvature. I hope you've enjoyed my quick rundown of the night sky for July. If you did, please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You will then get the monthly updates and any current astronomical news. I'm Andy Laws, founder of Astronomy Adventures, wishing you clear skies wherever you are, and please keep safe.